What's going on, famo? This is Podcast Agent Zero, and I'm here to react to a clip from the Whatever podcast with the host Brian here. I really haven't been watching this content in a long time. This podcast. I see Andrew Wilson is here as a guest. I think he's been there very often recently. Him and his wife. I came across Andrew Wilson on Fresh and Fit, and you know, very interesting individual, a Christian individual that's very conservative and definitely stand on conservative values when it comes to relationships and the landscape of feminism and how it's been affecting society. But right here, this clip is called, it's called Men Play Chess and Women Play Checkers. So I'm just going to react to this as we go. I seen a short on this and I was like, oh, that seems interesting. So I'm just go ahead and react to this clip right here. Let's continue.
I've got some pre-show notes here that I'm going to start with. Really quick, Keisha, right? You said on your Twitter, I saw this, men play chess, women play checkers. I was curious. I was curious. What do you mean by that?
So, my dad raised me to understand that men play chess and women play checkers, so that they have a completely different line of thinking than women do. And I didn't really used to, understand what he was talking about, but as I got older, I did, and especially the last couple of years, I see in real time, every day, men creating circumstances for things that women don't see, whether it be positive or negative, and men are meant to do that, he said, because they are the leaders in the home, so they're supposed to create the circumstances for their family's success, and they do that by chess, and it happens completely unbeknownst to women, because we just don't think in that way. And that's a good thing. They have a very a strong ability to compartmentalize and so that they can keep going in difficult situations and hardships that chisel them rather than cripple women, right? Just that's how they become great men and fathers.
Okay.
What does it mean?
Cripple women, right?
So yeah, for sure. That's very profound what she just said, and of course she learned that from her father, which is very powerful. That's why she's able to see. The thing is, when you equip your daughters with information like this and they're open to it and they start to perceive the world in that way, she's starting to gain more insight in herself. She said with her own experience, she's seen it to be true after that seed was planted by her father. You dig what I'm saying? And this goes back to what my boy Shaq Talk TV was talking about when he said, men, when we was having a personal conversation about this, when he said, men must think deeply about things, because if we don't, it will affect us and everybody that we're responsible for. Whereas women have the luxury to not think as deep about certain things, right? Now, of course, they have more connection with their children in a sense to where there's certain things that they're aware of and must be aware of that we don't. But at the end of the day, we're the ones that are responsible for their safety and nourishment so that they can do that for their children. So therefore, we have to think in a bigger scope. We can't think just checkers. We have to think moves ahead. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why we don't have the luxury to be emotional and things like that. Because we also, playing chess, also understand that we can't behave a certain way in front of our woman because it'll affect their comfortability level and being able to feel secure. And sometimes women won't even like this, but this is the playing chess part. Sometimes we have to we can't be all the way thorough and I'm not going to say honest. It doesn't mean lie. But we can't tell it all the way like it is sometimes with women, because we understand women and what will make them feel secure at times. And for the benefit of them, we won't even tell you the whole story. We'll just go handle what we have to handle. That's playing chess. Let's continue.
Just that's how they become great men and fathers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you give an example of what does it mean women play with chess?
You mean men play chess?
Yeah.
And women, okay,
checkers,
so
women play checkers.
for example,
Does anybody play tic-tac-toe in this? Who's
I
playing
mean, they
tic-tac-toe?
might. I
Kids
don't know.
playing the tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
But
When you think about it, the whole gamut of playing of game, having game is chess. Just having game and really have to understand women is chess. You dig what I'm saying? Let's continue.
An example of this, I would say, is a lot of women feminists who are in power. A lot of times they think that they are the ones pulling the strings and making decisions, and men are giving them positions of power so that they can feel like they're making good moves. Whole time the men are behind the scenes pulling the strings on what they're doing, and even actually more in control than they understand them to be, and just using the women as a pawn. So they're playing chess in real time and moving all the pieces on the board. Meanwhile, the women think they're making decisions, but the men are just setting them up to do exactly what they want, whether they decide to submit or not. So a lot of women are like, oh, I would never submit to a man, but in actuality, either with men in society, whether you choose to submit or not, they're gonna make you submit. Like, you either choose to submit to a husband and a father who loves and cares about you and God, or you're gonna submit to someone in corporate America that's just gonna play chess moves with you for their own benefit and their own family.
The perfect example. Let me show you how much men play chess. Men, the higher levels of men is just the tendency or the urge to figure out how things work. That's the reason why we develop systems and order. Yes. So since we had that tendency to figure out how things work, that means not to call women things, but that means women. That means things of technology, the world, animals. We just want to understand how things work, the ecosystem. So, like, since the people that push feminism, that want to keep men at bay from the hero's journey or the testosterone peak, so that the good men won't take over the powers that be. The powers that be use women's nature against them by granting feminism and making women feel like they're in power, because women are ruled by emotions, and emotions run the way they perceive the world. So since women are easy to program, since propaganda pushed into women, oh, you're powerful because you have your own job and your own car, you make your own money, you're a boss, right? But the powers that be know that women will cling to that and use that against the women and the rest of society, and the women will use it against their men, or displace their men by thinking that they're in power, so they don't need no man. That's chess that the powers that be plays. That's chess in itself. Let's continue.
It's a real-time example. Judges, lawyers, whatever.
Word? Now, do any of the girls disagree with her?
I would say I agree with most of what Keisha said. I would push back a little bit. Like, I don't think that we should underestimate the capabilities of some women. I would say that.
All right, that was a checker's answer. Do you know why? Nobody said anything about underestimating the capabilities of women. Nobody said anything about that. But when it comes to a general stance, which again, that's a checker's way of looking at things, because it's a probability game when you're looking at general instead of possibility. You got to look at probabilities when you're on the chessboard, so you can know what the best move to make in the very next instance. Sometimes you got to sacrifice pieces so that you get a better general chance of getting to where you want to go.
Overall, many women, especially when they're younger, when they're younger girls.
Sorry, higher probable chance. I got my words mixed up this afternoon, but let's continue.
Girls, I could see them being kind of like that. That same thing you're talking about, where they're playing checkers and they're not thinking things through. But I think as women get older and they start to become more mature in business and other different things, they can start to see things through. But I think you're right in that men do kind of have innate talent for seeing things down, but I wouldn't disregard that there are women that are capable of some of those things as well, especially women that work in intelligence.
Yeah, but they're the outliers.
Right.
It's like everyone always wants to point to the outliers, but they are outliers for sure.
Well, if I could interject, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm not actually undermining women's capability and capacity when I say that they play checkers. I'm actually speaking to the greater point of the individuality and the way that God created man and women, and the power that women have when they come to understand that they don't think like men and they're not men, because then you're able to work most efficiently with men, and you're able to just do your own, like, for example, I learned.
Bingo, she's nailing it right now. She's snapping right now. And she's more intelligent by even understanding that than the average woman. Do you notice that when you really align with nature, your intelligence spike and your IQ even spikes? When you're just aligned with nature. Nature got all the answers. Huh? So, okay, I'll just put it this way. If you're really going through something, you're really depressed, right? And you just sit outside, you get a lot of answers by just sitting outside. You don't need no intoxicants or anything like that. All you have to do is look at the sky and you'll see a cloud passing the sun. The sun is covered just a bit, and then the cloud passes the sun and it shines again. What does that tell you? That alone tell you this too shall pass. The sun is just gone for the moment. The sun will be back out. That's nature talking to you right there. Let's continue.
And just working with my dad the last couple of years, I might tell something to my dad like, oh, Dad, like, this is going to happen. Like, I know for sure, like, I can see this coming down the line. And he's like, okay, Keisha, chill. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I know what I'm talking about. And in a couple of weeks, it might happen. And I tell him like, Dad, I told you that was going to happen. He's like, Keisha, that's cool. But I needed to demonstrate every step of the way exactly how this happened, the who, what, when, where, why, how. And all you were looking at was the end result. And I see a lot of times women, we look at the outcome rather than the steps to get there. And we don't know the steps, which is why we're really bad at creating solutions. Women just want to feel better. Men actually want to create the solution to solve the problem. So men play chess because they pull the strings on many situations and literally create the circumstances for that success in real time and mitigate the problem, the consequences of the problem in real time.
Man, that's really true, because a lot of women that I'm around, when I see them interacting with people, since they're ruled by emotions and they want to feel good, they might meet new people, right? And that person might give them a compliment, and then she'll be like, oh, wow, that was really nice. Oh, I really like them. And it's like, okay, you like them already because they gave you a compliment? Like, okay, you could be appreciative of a compliment. That doesn't mean you actually like the person. You just be appreciative. You could be detached. You don't have to have any attachment to the person. You could still observe the person for who they are. But a lot of times, a lot of women will be like, oh, we're friends now. We're friends already. Whereas in general, with men, a lot of times we have friends. In general, more men have friends that go way back in their childhood than women do, because a lot of times those relationships have to be tested and true, and we have to go through fire and see if the friends really come through and pull up and accountable for their actions and actually grow through circumstances and things like that. And even when we mess up bad, not to the point where crazy lines across, but I mean, we got into a physical confrontation because there was a disagreement and there was a misunderstanding of that disagreement. And then even if one of us had a broken nose, we'll come back around like, man, that was some bullshit. This is how I fucked up. This is how you fucked up. Okay, cool. Done with. No emotions. And we're still friends for 50 years. Whereas women will be like, based off an emotion, I liked her at first, but she did something that's so minuscule, and they'll hold that grudge forever and ever and ever off of something, a fake relationship that was not really cultivated that much. You know what I'm saying? So that's a pretty good example as far as that goes too. There was a great point when she said women just want to feel good, where men want to get to the solutions. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue.
Women cannot do that.
Your future is at your fingertips. Take it.
multiple women in multiple different areas of life. I've never ever seen a woman beat a man at chess. And it doesn't matter how smart the woman is or how smart the man is. It has nothing to do with IQ. It's simply the way that men think versus the way women think. We're just different. And I'm glad we're different, because when I see all the things that my father does on a day-to-day basis to work, like he gets up, he like does his smoothie, does his workout, he goes and works like 16 hours a day, does another like exercise, 2 Bible studies during the day, has constant attacks continuously, and he's still going like a machine. He can do all of that, but I'm sitting here like, okay, I need to take a nap. You know, and I'm not like done. It's just the fact.
I'm sorry, I keep pausing on accident.
And he's still going like a machine. He can do all of that, but I'm sitting here like, okay, I need to take a nap. You know, and I'm not like dumb in any capacity, but it's just, sorry.
That's a good point though, because like, and women require more sleep because, you know, you carry the next generation in you, right? And there's a lot of biological processes going on. And I look at it like the reason why women are more solipsistic in nature is because a whole life form can be born from you. So you have to focus inwards a lot of the time. Whereas since men don't create nothing internally, to prove our value, we have to create externally. So therefore, we do a lot of work externally. That's why our bodies are hardened. We have more facial hair, so we can sense the environment around us. Because since we go hunting, we have to sense the environment around us. So we're in the wilderness. That's why we have more hair on our face. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we need, when it comes to having higher testosterone, there's more hair growth because, okay, you can hunt now. So therefore, you're going to be outside projecting your energy so that you can bring back the bacon. You dig what I'm saying? So like, even when you, and this is why a lot of times when men spend a lot of times with their significant other, woman, if they're heterosexual, their testosterone drops because naturally, when you just observe the difference between a masculine man and a feminine woman needs some kind of comfort. They seek some kind of comfort. They seek rest because their body needs it. They seek it all the time, and it comes out in their language, and it comes out in the way they attack, or not even attack, but go about their activities. Like, I observe, even just being in the same space with my woman, when she has things to do, a lot of times she'll finish her work day and she'll say, I got to do this and I got to do this. Oh man, I got to do this. Like, I don't feel like doing it. Where for me, I just want to go ahead and do it. I don't even want to talk about, I don't feel like it. But that's just the difference, because that's just how, you know, we're wired different in that way, because we're designed to do different things, different functions. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, she's very correct about that, where I will feel alive being more active, whereas it might drain the woman to have to do all these different activities of high intensity. You get what I'm saying? So let's continue.
It's just the fact that they have that ability to make a lot of things happen regardless of what's going
You're
on.
speaking in nature, the ontology. You're not talking, so you're saying by nature, the nature of these things are totally different. You know?
Well, yeah, because God created us. I mean, God created us that way.
Sorry, I did not mean. I accidentally pressed the button. I was just switching the camera angles, but I accidentally pressed the button. All right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is true, though, that men and women think differently. I will say that is true, and that they each have their strengths and their weaknesses. Like, one example, really in the roles that I think God wanted us to really portray and fulfill in our lives, like even I naturally find it's very easy to multitask as a woman versus my husband. He can't, cook and watch the kids and, clean or do this and do a million different things at the same time. He has to be able to have quiet and focus on one thing. Whereas with women, we are naturally wired to be able to do things. And that's because our brains are slightly different, and then we have more interconnecting nerves between both sides of our left and right hemisphere of our brain.
But she's talking about something different. She's going.
And that's because you bear the children, so you have to be able to tend to that baby and make sure you can operate to get everything else done in the home, as well as take care of that baby at the same time. Whereas men progress men project forward and are progressive in their natural healthy state. So since we're progressing forward, we can't just be focused on everything right here at once. That energy got to be going forward. You get what I'm saying? So, and that's the issue with society now, when they try to push women to be like men, but they kind of neglect that multitask nature. But then they try to make men be like women and multitask more. Whereas, like, I'm in the middle of my work. My lady might be telling me something like, "Hey, look, I didn't hear you. So, hey, I didn't hear you because I got to get this thing done thoroughly." You feel me? Thoroughly. But that's the reason why we're able to invent the things that we invent, because we put so much energy in one thing and so much forward, so much forward energy that we dig into resources and intelligences that that spark innovative ideas. You can't spark innovative ideas and create something new if you don't put a lot of forward energy towards it. You just can't do it. You can't do it.
Deeper than that. She's talking about the nature itself from its being, its state of being, and saying that within men's nature on this planet, their nature is to look at a situation and then they're mitigating bad outcomes and maximizing good outcomes.
Right.
And that women are generally not doing that. They're just benefiting from the either good outcome or the bad outcome. I think that's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, like, and you mentioned that men don't multitask. I think they do it in a different way.
That's true,
Because,
too.
like I said, like watching my dad over the past couple of years lose absolutely everything, filing things in court, doing his mechanical engineering, still trying to mitigate my life and my sister's and his. And
But here's where it's different, though. This is where the multitasking is different. We still might do many things in a day, but we can't do it all at one time. It might be all at one time in a certain, like in 3 months, I got my business started and I still did my music and I'm still focused on my fitness and I made sure my family was good and I got my credit on point and, you know what I'm saying, then I'm putting out these videos. Like I multitask in that way, but at this moment in time, I'm focused on only reacting to this video. Whereas a woman can cook, can clean at the same time, and then speak to her baby without even looking, or her child without even looking at him. Like, how would that homework go? How did how was school today? And then have that full conversation and still cook at the same time without fucking up. That's the difference in the multitasking. Let's continue.
everyone around him and doing everything to help all these different people at the same time while maintaining his physical, mental, and emotional health. I think that men, they multitask in a way that's protective, in a way that benefits the system as a whole. Like, everything that they have to do is not just going to benefit them in that moment, it's benefiting long-term and just destroying the attacks in real time from multiple different angles. So I think we were created to do two different things, and they're equally as valuable. So women playing checkers is just as valuable as chess, but it has to work together in order to make the system move the way it needs to.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Was your mother in your life? It seems like your dad is like a big hero for you.
He is.
Yo. You know what's deep about that right there? That's my senior, my bad. Y'all see the text from my senior partner right there. But do you see how that question was unchess-like? So was your mother in your life? And she looks at it like it's an issue for her to talk about her father in this way. But when women talk about their mothers in that way, there's no question about the father, ever. And what's running in her right now, and what I'm about to say is based on observation, based on chess thinking, what she's projecting right now is either blank slate equalism, where if you talk about your father like that, then where's the mother at? Or there's really female supremacy. That's what I think is leaning more into when it comes to feminism, female supremacy. How dare you talk about a man like that, but I don't hear nothing about your mom? And that right there is already showing that she's spewing that mind state, on that mindset that's been perpetuated by feminism, that's been affecting men and women at large. Let's continue.
My dad is like a G, like I call him the OG engineer. I do know my mom, but I was primarily raised by my father and my grandmother and great grandmother.
Yeah, it's just because like I wouldn't say I fundamentally disagree with you guys with what you guys are saying, but I'm atheist or agnostic. I'm not practicing of any religion, but I grew up in the church for 16 years. So my mom made me go every weekend.
Which
and
church?
Baptist.
Well, why are you wearing a cross if you're atheist?
For fashion and irony. I don't know.
That's chess. There's no congruency. There's no congruency right there. But again, we were taking nature out of it again when she said, well, I'm atheist, but you could be an atheist and see it for what, observe reality for what it is and come to the conclusion that they're speaking on right now. You could be an atheist and see that shit. It's not just about religion. It's not, religion is just an expression of your beliefs or alignment with spirituality. That's all religion really is. It doesn't mean that if you're not religious, or even if you don't believe in God, that you don't really see what she and Andrew is speaking. You know what I'm saying? You see the sun come up and go down every day, depending on where you're at on the planet for the most part. You see that happen every day. You don't got to believe in God or believing in a religion to see that. That's nature, though. You feel me? But she's probably going off of the fact that they said, well, God created us this way. So I get what she's saying if it's because of that. But you could just say by nature, this is what we both genders lean or tend to do, or tend to think, or tend to behave. Let's continue.
Yeah, sorry, is that blasphemous? But it's kind of like a fashion
It's
thing
just
right
kind of
now.
strange.
It's definitely a trend.
You know?
I mean, I still grew up in the church. I'd still say I'm spiritual, but I'm not practicing. I don't like follow the gospel like that. But
So you more so like believe in God and Jesus, but just not the
No.
church structure?
No.
Oh, no.
I have a connection to the church, and I'd say I have a connection to my spirituality, but I don't believe that I would know if there was a creator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just relativism.
Yeah.
Okay.
But back to my point, what I was saying was like, I feel like I do agree, but I don't think it's fair to women out there, especially women who do work to organize their lives around their families. Because I had a single mom, and the way you describe your dad reminds me of the way I felt about my mom, you know. And although I do think women are more emotional, and that like increased emotional response can lead to like playing checkers instead of chess, I think maybe when women are able to subtract men from their lives, or like just like, I don't know, I think that there are women out there who can play life like a chess game, or that, like, I wish I could say that I could, you know, even though I was
Don't you
born
think
a
your
woman.
mom probably had to lean into her masculinity because she was a single mom?
Oh, definitely, but I don't see a problem with leaning into your masculinity.
But
I wish I could.
But it is a problem because you still can't do it like a man does, just like a man can't do playing his so-called femininity like a woman does, because we're designed differently. So it's still an issue. She'll still be stressed. Her biological functions isn't created for that, and so her biological functions and mentality and emotions will be affected. It's just that simple. But again, when it comes to masculinity, it's black and white, and that's simple and to the point. But again, since you're no offense at all, since you're a woman, you don't see it that way because you're responding off of emotion, and you say it is not fair to women because, well, when my mother, she, made sure that the family was straight and blah. Of course, that's what you're designed to do. But when it comes to men, what we're designed to do is make sure that everybody's straight. Everybody. We're the covering for everybody to make sure that the woman can do that. That's what you're missing. When you look at when men invent things in general, look at Madam C.J. Walker. What is she known for? Innovating. When it comes to cosmetics and hair, that's for women. But when it comes to who created the tampons, you know what I'm saying? Men tend to invent things that benefit everybody, not just focus on their gender, even though there's instances when they do that. But again, I'm just talking about in general. So that's the part that you're missing too, because guess what? You're thinking in chess. You're not thinking in dimensions like you're thinking in checkers. You're not thinking in dimensions like chess. This is proving the point that this is the mindset that women naturally have, and so they can't see it the way men must see it. Not even want to see it, must see it. Let's continue.
Acts like I was
But in
playing a
order
game of
for
chess.
her to go to her point, you're saying that you notice some of the things that she's talking about relevant to your relationship and your dynamic with your mom.
Exactly.
But she had to take on a masculine role. So she probably had to do some of the things that she's describing her father did, correct?
Yeah, but she's a woman.
Yes, of course, I know she's still a woman. I'm saying she had to lean into her masculinity in order to probably protect you, provide for you, and also nurture you. So she had much more to do, but those aspects of protection and provision are masculine.
I think
Yes, but there's gaps missing still. There's still gaps missing. I promise you, most of the times when women are single mothers like that and they have to so-called protect or provide, they get so tired that their attention span can't even focus on other aspects of security. It just can't. It just can't. You know what I'm saying?
I could be leaning into my masculinity more like on Tuesday than I was on Wednesday, but like they're both.
But again, you're picking and choosing, and so therefore you can't do what a man does because a man is able to do that all the time. Right now, you're showing that you're way more feminine because you're reacting emotionally, but you can't even get to the point and a conclusion right now because you're going off of feelings. So therefore, you can't do what men do because you're wasting. In a man's mind, you're wasting time and energy in a conversation that's obvious. Since it's obvious for us, we're just like, okay, this is what it is. Let's move on it. But now you're talking about it and you're in woo-woo landscape. You're in the Lulu landscape based off of a feeling of what was said. So that's in a man's mind wasting time because we're like here in reality wanting to get things done. So we're going to argue about what men can do and what women can do. And that's what we're doing in society right now. And in the meantime, shit ain't getting done. That's insane, bro. That's insane. Let's continue.
They're just all abstract concepts, and at the end of the day, she's a woman, and we're
Well,
making
if they're abstract concepts, then why would you bring them up as being a differential between the two things? They're just abstract.
They are abstract, but what I'm saying is I think it's problematic to.
Yeah, but you're a relativist. Everything's abstract.
That's okay.
And why is it
Right.
problematic for her
So,
to put
I mean-
her father on her pedestal?
It's not problematic for her to put her father on a pedestal.
Well,
I'd say it's
what aspect
problematic
is
to say
problematic?
that men are always playing chess and women are always playing checkers because
Nobody said that either. Nobody used that verbiage at all. Nobody used that verbiage. And again, she's showing that she listened with her emotions and not to the conversation purely. If you wanted clarity on that, you could have just easily said, well, do you mean the always? Or I want to understand what you mean by that exactly. But if you just observe reality for what it is, you would have already knew what she's saying is true. You just would have known that. Honestly.
Is that,
fundamentally
hang on. Is
a
that
higher intelligent game.
Is that a truth statement?
No, I'd say.
No. So then why should we believe you if it's not a true statement?
Why should you believe?
Why should we believe what you just said, that some women are doing this, some men are doing that? You just said that it's not a true statement.
Well, if
Is
you
it-
wanna
hang
actually
on,
talk
is
about
it true?
logic, though-
Is it true or not true?
It's a logical
It's-
fallacy to say something is always one way
Yeah,
and never
it's-
another way.
What's that fallacy
It's
called?
a trend.
Is it called the I just made it the fuck up fallacy? So
No,
back to
no,
where I
it's
was
not.
at.
It's not called
So back to
that.
where I was at
not called
when we're talking about relativism, which is what we're talking about right now. You can't make truth claims.
Relativism is what you're talking about. Okay, I was just talking. She was talking about a trend that she's
but it's
observed.
not. When you say
she's talking about a stereotype.
when you say
between- can I
something
speak?
like I disagree.
It's not a stereotype is based on the truth a lot of times when you really look at things for what they are. And that's the thing too. It's like she's showing that she's not self-aware, which a lot of women nowadays and men, but a lot of women aren't self-aware. If you just observe yourself and then have the ability to observe the environment around you, it would be obvious what he's saying right now. You're actually proving the young lady's point about how we think differently because you're reacting emotionally. That's what's going on right now. There is no logic here.
when you say something like, I disagree with you, this is not true, this is true, you're a moral relativist. You don't even believe in a standard for truth. You have no standard for truth. Why would you ever make a claim something is true or not true?
Well, you just hate all relativists. I was having a conversation
Is that true?
Well-
is it true that I hate all relativists?
It might be, because you're not a relativist.
Is that true? They might be.
Did you see that? It might be because you're not a relativist. Who thinks like that? I hate you because I'm not you. Who thinks like that? So therefore, since she said that, we're going deeper into the mindset here. Since she said that, it might be you're not a relativist, so you might hate relativists. Okay, so you might hate men because you're not a man. Does that make sense? Do you hate men? Because you're kind of responding like you have an issue with what men tend to do compared to women. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's continue.
True.
Okay, I'm sorry I had a relativist argument, but the point that I was trying to make was the phrase men are playing chess, women are playing checkers is a stereotypical phrase, and I'm sure she might also concede that there are outliers to that. However, I'd saying maybe a better way to phrase it, as she was saying, was it is more masculine to play chess as perceived in our society, because we have for so long said, oh, men play chess. Of course, that's masculine.
It's not because society said it, it's because it's being carried out. And so therefore society says it. Society does it. It just does it. And the thing is, here's another thing, man. Get hit with so many aha moments. The reason why I see that women project how they think on all of humanity, like everybody thinks like that, is because she's saying that it's being played out because society says it. But that's more programmable people that carries out what is said. But in general, women are easier to program. So therefore, that's why she has that perspective that all of society plays it out because that's what society says. All the men at the top think in chess because society says it, but they run society. So what do you mean? If they run society, they don't have to program themselves to do it. They just do it. They naturally play chess. So let's think about it. I would ask her, so who runs society and who programmed these thoughts into society? Who's at the top that actually does that? What gender do you think they are most likely? Men? Okay. Why do you think those men do that? Why do you think they engineer